LinkedIn is the largest professional network of people, and your profile matters. So, how can you future proof your brand? Well, that happens to be the name of my recent webinar, which you can watch the recording of by continuing on watching. Get some tips on how you can position your profile to be found, to be discovered, and to be influential. So this session is all about future-proofing your personal brand with LinkedIn. Feel free to ask questions in the chat, and if you've got anything to share, also put that in the chat, including your LinkedIn profile, because if you're here live, why not network and share that with other people? So let's get cracking. So this is me for those who don't know me, Jo Saunders, known as the LinkedIn Demystifier. I've been specializing in LinkedIn for the last, over a decade now, and quite well known for that. And really, I'm just a really nosy person, really curious, press all the buttons, do all the investigating so I can help you use it more effectively. So that's why I do what I do. Won a few awards and that sort of thing, published a book, and I've got the next one in the process. So LinkedIn, I'd love to know if you're using it and how you're using it. But before we get into that, invisibility leads to irrelevance. And I like to share this because if you're not being visible on LinkedIn, you're potentially being overlooked and you might be missing out on opportunities. So that's what we're going to talk about today, how you can get better at doing LinkedIn so you're investing the right time and effort, because it can be time consuming if you let it. So if you think about why you're using LinkedIn, well, number one reason, great research tool. People, companies, jobs, information, it's all there. You might be using it to build your reputation, build rapport with your network. Maybe you're recruiting, or maybe you're there to get revenue. But a lot of people, particularly in business, you're not there to make friends, you're there to build your business. But if you're trying to get the revenue straight away, trying to sell on LinkedIn, it doesn't work. It's about working through your relationships to get to the revenue, because the revenue is the result of good relationships. So it's a great business marketing and sales tool. Now, LinkedIn is the biggest professional social network. We've just hit 830 million members as of this month. They do it every quarter, they update, and it was 810 million members last count in January. So it's certainly February, certainly growing at a fairly consistent rate. And the growth has been two new members a second. That's what they've consistently reported on, and we've got 12 million in Australia alone. So that's one reason to use it. It's a large network of people, but so what? Now, the number one reason to use LinkedIn is SEO. Now, search engine optimization, to be found in Google. Now, if you've ever Googled your name or your business name or the thing you do, hopefully it ranks. But then if it does rank and you haven't put any effort into your profile, then you might be doing yourself a disservice as well. So if you look for your name, you can see here, for my example, it's in pink. So my LinkedIn profile ranks my name, it ranks my business name, after my website, which is good because website I've got more control over, but also the thing you do. So if you think about your name, if you're getting business through referrals, if someone's saying, I need some help with, the customer experience and whatever, Graham Harvey, they're going to look you up. Who is this Graham Harvey guy? Is he the best at what he does? They'll Google you by name, or maybe your business name. And hopefully your website is coming up and your other profiles on different platforms, including LinkedIn. Now, the other thing they might be looking for is the thing you actually do. And that's harder to rank for. So if you're looking for LinkedIn expert in Perth, LinkedIn trainer Australia, these sorts of things, you can see here, the box in pink on my LinkedIn profile, the orange is my website. So in each of these cases, my LinkedIn profile outranks my website for those terms for free. I don't spend any money on SEO for anything, for website or LinkedIn, but it helps me rank for free. And I check this often just to see how I'm ranking, and making sure am I outranking people I want to outrank, But to know this, you have to know what your ideal clients are searching for. So when I get people booking a discovery call or, dropping me an email, I always ask them, how did they find me? And usually it's either someone's referred me, so they already know me, it's a warm lead, or they've Googled me and I want to know, what did you Google? And usually it's these sort of things. So whether you like the term expert about yourself or not, and I had to get to terms with this, you have to be using those words in your profile in order to be found for the thing. Now, one of the terms I don't like is guru. I won't call myself a LinkedIn guru, but I can use it in a sentence authentically if I wanted to rank for that term. So just keep that in mind. Always use the language of your audience. And then have a look at these listings when you look for yourself. What's showing up? So if you look at mine, it's got Joe Saunders dash. It's Joe Saunders dash LinkedIn training and consulting. That comes from the experience part of my profile. So it picks up the first item of my experience. So have a look for yourself, and just then you can reverse engineer where to put these things. Now you might be thinking, I don't have time for this. You might be lacking time. You might be lacking, the skill to do this. You might be not thinking, well, I'm not an SEO expert. You don't have to be. I'm certainly not. I just know enough about LinkedIn to know where it matters. You might be lacking interest. Does anybody actually find LinkedIn really boring? Maybe you do. It doesn't have to be. You might be lacking accountability, that consistent action. And you might be lacking the big one, which is strategy, because why using it in the first place? And if you don't have a strategy, then you're doing it ad hoc, which may not be the best use of your time. So you want to think about, what is the thing you're doing and why you're there? So for instance, when I'm working with clients, I get them to create a hot list. Now, I start small with 20. Who's your 20 hot leads or people you'd really love to work with? But you could extend it. Triple J have got their hottest 100. Why not create a hottest 100 potential client list and then look at how can you strategically engage with them on LinkedIn? Now, think about right now how you're using LinkedIn and what you want to achieve. So I've come up with this word Connectfluence, which is the art of connection, the art of influence through connection. And influence is something that I believe we all have. It's not a title. It's not an outcome. Well, it's an outcome, but it's not a job, I should say. So social media influencer, I think that's a whole made up thing personally. Influence is something we all have. We don't have to be out there modeling in our bikini and, with our handbag and, whatever, designer, whatever. It's about what you do on LinkedIn. So think about right now, where are you on this model? So if you're unknown on LinkedIn and you're not getting the results, you might be at a novice level. So you might just have a profile. Yeah, you haven't got a really active network and your content is absent. You're not producing content. If you want to be found as a generalist, your LinkedIn profile might be more like a resume. You're possibly lurking and you might be ad hoc with your content. Now, if you want to be a trusted specialist in your field, then your profile and your presence needs to be branded. You need to have a network that you're reacting to, and you might be curating content. But if you want to be the preferred expert, then your profile and presence needs to be optimized. You want to be proactively networking and creating content. But at the very top here, if you want to be the sought after leader in your field, then you want to make sure your profile is energized, which is what this session's about. You've got a leverage network, and your content is not just being created, it's actually being shared by other people. So that's what I mean by being a sought after leader in your field. So think about where you are right now. Now, you might be a sought after leader outside of LinkedIn. And I mentioned you, Graham, and I know you certainly are in your field. But you've got to look at then at LinkedIn. Is LinkedIn reflecting the expert that you actually are, the leader that you actually are? So, if LinkedIn's not working for you, it might be one of these core areas, these core pillars. So these three pillars in the middle are the pillars of LinkedIn that I teach. So you want to have your positioning right. You want to have a profile and a page for your business that's energized, optimized, branded, all those things. You want to be building a network of connections of the right people so that you're reacting to them. You're also proactively building your network, but you're leveraging that network as well, so that you're not going to the home feed and just reacting to what's there in front of you. You're actually strategically going to that hot list of people and working out who should you engage with and how. And then with content, which is the vehicle to allow you to be seen by your network. You've got curating content, which is the easiest. So I might find a blog about, I don't know, what's happening in my industry. I can share it with my thoughts. That's curating content. But creating is more powerful, but more time consuming. So it depends on where your time is at the moment. And then, of course, once you've created content, you want people to be sharing it and engaging with it. So think about where you are and where you want to be. But first, consider how you're currently using LinkedIn. So what are you doing right now? So either you're a non-user, so you've got no profile, or you've got a profile you just don't log into, it's gathering dust. Are you a lurker? Not a stalker, that's a whole different ballgame. A lurker is someone who logs into LinkedIn and lurks, peers, but never does anything, doesn't comment, do anything. Now that's great for if your objective is research. If you're researching your industry and staying up to date, that's fantastic. But you're not being seen. Even as simple as hitting a like on a post allows you to be seen. Now, you might be a hands-off automator. Now, this is someone who has automated their LinkedIn. You're not interested in it. So you've given it to someone else, a virtual assistant, a marketing person, and just got them to do it for you. But once again, you can't build relationships if you automate things. It's kind of like, if you know that networking is something, you can do for your business, or speaking. Speaking's a good example. Speaking is probably the best marketing you can do for your business because it gets you on stage in front of an audience. Imagine if you automated or outsourced that. If I got someone else to speak for me, that's not going to work. Sending someone else to a networking event on my behalf is not going to work unless they really know my business well. Are you an active reactor? So that's someone who's, logging into LinkedIn on a regular basis and liking things, maybe even commenting on things. You might be reacting to incoming connection requests or messages. So you could be doing that. And the final one is a proactive participant. So this is where you're doing, you are reacting, but you're also strategically networking and sharing content with the right people. So just put into the chat which one of those you are, 1 to 5, just curiosity. Like I said, lurker's not a stalker. If you're a stalker, don't need to know that. But also there is, professional stalking is researching. It's not, doing, peering over and finding out information that you're going to use elsewhere. So what we got here, we've got 1 and 4.
Sorry, Jo, that's me. I put sad by mistake. It's 1 and 4.
I thought so. 1 and 4. So you're not user.
It might be sad profile. It might be, but 1 to 4 it is. 1 and 4.
Okay. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, 4. Yeah. But I find that probably the most common is people who are lurking, and often they're lurking on LinkedIn because they don't know what to do, or they're a bit scared of looking unprofessional. But being a reactor is a good thing as well. But really, you want to be out there and sharing content. Excellent. Harry, active user. So I would put you to 5 because I know that you're proactive and I know that you network and I know you engage and share content. So absolutely. And Stephen, logging in regular but need to do more. Yeah. And if you're logging in and not doing anything, then that's lurking essentially, because you sort of go in and you might be accidentally lurking because you're not sure what to do. You're not sure what those things are. What are the right activities to do? And that's okay. So thank you for that. So LinkedIn strategy is really about these 3 things. As I said, it's about having a personal brand that people can connect to, an engaged network, and content that people can relate to, because that gives you visibility, credibility, and influence. Because the more you build a network, the more, and then you start engaging with that network and sharing content, then they'll see you, which increases your visibility within LinkedIn, which increases your influence as they start to engage with you. Now, for those who are not familiar with LinkedIn, and if you've heard me speak before, you've probably seen this model in a different variation. But I always like to start with, cover this because it's really important to understand how LinkedIn works. Because if you don't, you might be just thinking you're only reaching your connections. But it's bigger than that. This is why you want to engage with other people and share content. So with LinkedIn, you've got this network of connections. Now, then you've got connections and you've got a network. Now, connections are the people you're connected to. Sounds obvious. You've either said yes to them, or they've sent you a connection request. Sorry, they've sent one to you. You've said yes, or you've sent one to them if you're being proactive. Then their connections become your second, and their connections become your third level connections. Now, it's important to understand that, because that's your reach on LinkedIn. When you do a search on LinkedIn and the results come back, it's searching your network 3 degrees away. You can't see anybody outside of 3 degrees. So Betty in this example is outside of my network, and I won't be able to find her. If all these people are accountants, for instance, Bob, Barry, and Barbara will show up in the search results. And if I'm searching effectively, it's going to help me find those people. Betty won't, because she's outside my network.
And the same works in reverse. So if Betty is looking for what you do, she won't find you. She'll find Barbara, Barry, and Bob if they do the same thing, but she won't find you because you're outside of her network. So you might be thinking, well, how do I get around that? I'll just connect to everybody and just say yes to everybody, and then my network increases, giving me more reach. But that's also not a good move either, because then you've got a very diverse, unstable network, because there's no real sense to it. So you want to be strategic about your network, but you want to be consistently strategic so that you're inviting the right people and saying yes to the right people, which comes back to having a criteria. So it might be, if you know who your ideal clients are, then you're going to connect to those people plus other people that know those people, that have them in their networks. So I do a fair bit of speaking and training, and I know on this webinar now, like Graham Harvey's here. Now Graham might speak to the same audience that I would speak to. So it's in my interest to be connected to Graham, because he may, and also maybe engage with Graham because he may know the people I want to be seen by. So if Jean had my network, if Jean's connected to people that I want to be seen by, I would start engaging with Jean in order to be seen by Jean's network, if that makes sense. So it's opening up your strategy to being a bit wider than just your connection, just your ideal clients. So thinking about who they are. And also this applies to content. So when you start sharing content, when people in your network engage, it exposes it to other people. So, but Betty may eventually see me through my content because my network have engaged with my content. So hopefully that makes sense. If you just joined us, welcome. So we're talking about future-proofing your brand with LinkedIn. Now think about your LinkedIn presence right now. Does it connect and inspire action? Does your profile represent your value? Does it share your vision? And does it communicate in your voice? And I'll go into a little bit about what that means. Now, you may have heard this quote from Jeff Bezos: your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. LinkedIn is a place to do this. LinkedIn is a place to frame that and people talking about you. But the room is now online, and LinkedIn is one of the rooms where people can get a sense of who you are. But I actually look at brand as a bit more than that. I think personal brand is really, it's not just what people say about you, it's actually how they feel about you. How do they feel about your brand? And while your profile is written from your perspective, you're framing that. How you write about yourself impacts how people feel about you. So if it represents your value, also your values, like your actual value, your core values, and if it shares your vision and your purpose and it's written in your voice, people can connect to you. And then, of course, how you engage with people also helps. So let's look at those 3 V's. Let's start with values. So how does your profile share value? So the number one place that LinkedIn has for sharing value is your headline. It's the thing that people see first. When you do a search on LinkedIn, when someone discovers you because you've commented on someone else's update, the first thing that they see, well, the 3 things that they see is your name, your photo, and your headline. Your headline is kind of like a positioning statement, an elevator pitch that follows you everywhere on LinkedIn. And it's a place to communicate your value. It's also the number one place that LinkedIn uses for search. So if someone's searching for financial planner, they're searching for career coach, you need to have those words in your headline in order to be found. So going back to the very beginning, I was talking about Google, keywords in Google. It applies to LinkedIn. So if someone's looking for LinkedIn expert, LinkedIn training, I better make sure I have those words in my profile, in my headline. Now on LinkedIn, most people are looking for for what I actually do. So LinkedIn training, LinkedIn coaching, those sorts of things. And you'll see I've got those words in my profile. So how do you write that? Now, by default, LinkedIn will prompt you to put your title and your organization. And it comes from parts of your profile, which is okay, unless your title is business owner or director or consultant or partner, something vague. And your business is ABC Consulting. So if you're a business owner at ABC Consulting, that doesn't position you. What's your value? We don't know what you do, and you're not going to get found. So you want to take control of this particular part of your profile. So if there's one thing you do today, look at your headline. It's the most important piece of text on your profile. So this is my framework, or one of the frameworks I use to sort of form that. So what's your expertise? What's the outcome of working with you? what's your brand? How do you deliver your services? So I'll break it up into mine, and you can work out how it applies to you. So in terms of mine, I've got the expertise and outcome twice. So I've got LinkedIn training and coaching. That's my expertise. That's what people are looking for. It's what people are going to see first. To future-proof your business, brand, business, and career is an outcome. Next one, positioning and content ideation. That's an expertise. I'm always playing around with new terms and changing things up. The outcome is to build connection and credibility with a thought leadership strategy. So there's expertise outcome done twice on mine. Then the brand, you'll notice I haven't got my business name here because I already rank for my business name. I want to rank, but I also want to use the personal brand, which is LinkedIn Demystifier. Now, no one's searching for that yet. I'll say yet, because who knows, it might become a thing that people get to know. But no one's looking to demystify LinkedIn, but it's the outcome of what I do. It's what I'm known for. I've got it in my profile for positioning, and it's at the very end because it's not the thing that people are searching for first. It's more to explain what I do, my take on things. And finally, the delivery piece, I've got trainer and speaker. Now, I could have coach, but the word coach is in the word coaching, so I don't need to. I could have mentor as well, because that's sometimes a word I use, so I change it up a bit. But trainer and training are two variations of the same word. So the reason I've got training at the beginning and trainer at the end is to pick up on those in search. So and I know there's a word for this, and I always forget. I think it's alliteration, but that may be wrong. Graham, you might know this word, where you've got coach, coaching, mentor, mentoring, whatever that term is for those groups of words. Make sure you've got both.
It's not alliteration, but it's okay. I'll find it.
Excellent, because I always say this, and I think I must look it up what that word is in taking back to the English, English at school. Whatever that is. So just make sure you've got the different versions of those things. So if you want to be known as a keynote speaker, you'd have keynote speaker, and then maybe professional speaking. So you picked up both versions of that word. Consultant, consulting. So hopefully that makes sense. So have a look at your own profile and see, could your headline be better? Is it well positioned? Is it going to help you get found in search? Is it going to help communicate what you actually do? So just have a think about that. And you've got 220 characters here. So that's your value. Now you want to make sure your value is throughout your profile in all the different sections, such as your experience section, your title, rather than calling yourself business owner, director, consultant, add some context to it. What kind of consultant are you? Now, just going back to what I said at the beginning, here we go. Geoff says semantic indexing. Ooh, okay. That sounds good. Thank you for that, Geoff. Going back to the beginning, when your name comes up in Google and your LinkedIn profile comes up, so you have your name, dash, and then some keywords, those words come from your experience title. So if you've got business owner, I would be Joe Saunders dash business owner. That really doesn't help me. I want to be positioned as the thing I do. So LinkedIn training, LinkedIn trainer, whatever that is, I would put there. So make sure your value is throughout your profile. And also you want to make sure that you're sharing derivatives. I can never say that word. Derivatives. Derivatives? Is that the right word? Yeah. Excellent. Well done, Graham. Love it. So have a think about where you're placing your value through your profile. Now, part of sharing your value is going back and sharing your story. Now, for some people, looking back at your experience section, how far back do you go? How much history do you put into your profile? It comes down to that connection. The word for me is connection, but the connection of those roles. What's a thread that goes through all the past roles that explains your journey? The thing you do. So for me, if I look back in my history, there are some roles that I didn't love. They're just part of my journey, different careers. But when I look at the things I do love, and they're tying to what I do now. I used to run a pen friend club. This is just a business that I ran, made no money. It was purely a service, purely a passion project. So for 8 years, I helped people connect all around the world. I wanted a club. I wanted a magazine. So I did that. There was a lot of photocopying involved. It was pretty rough magazine, but it was was a magazine, and it was a community. I also have a design background, so I've designed websites, and graphic design was part of what I did. Once again, why? I mean, apart from the creativity, connection. It's about connection through communication. Events. So also part of my background is running conferences around Australia. particularly in the project management sector. But what's that about? It's about bringing people together to connect and learn, which is another thing I'm passionate about. And then finally, social media is all about connection. I mean, LinkedIn is all these things. It's about connection, learning, creativity, all those things. So for me, my thread that runs through my history is connection. Everything I do is about connection. I can't not be connecting people. I've just had a call with a potential client and she needs some help, but I'm connecting her up with someone else who can help her. I just can't not do that. So for yourself, what's the thing that runs through your path, through your journey? And then how can you bring that into your story? Because that's part of your value proposition. Now, the other thing you want to think about is your vision. Where are you going? So you've got your values and your vision. Now, the place to put your vision is your about section of your profile, in addition to your value. Now, the about section of your profile is up to 2,600 characters long. You don't have to write this, write a whole essay, but, you can if you've got a lot to say, like I have. Mine's always maxed out. Part of the reason there's all that sort of story there is it's a connection piece to the person who's on your profile, but it's also helping search. Once it's another place that LinkedIn search is looking for those keywords and phrases that your audience are typing in to look for you. It's validating who you are, but it's telling your story. Now, with your about section of your profile, when you have a look, you'll see this little preview. So this is from my profile here. So you'll notice here, I've got a question, a statement, and then some contact information, and then a bit of a sales message. And then there's the see more. This bit of your about, I call your teaser. Now, your teaser is the most important bit because it's the thing that it's getting people to click see more. You want to drive a bit of curiosity, but you also want to make it easy for the people who are time poor. So if you know DISC profile, DISC is, DISC, people who are the D personality types, the people that have no time, they don't want the detail, they don't want all the fluff and noise, they don't want to, read into the depths, they just want to take action. And that's why I've got contact information up here. I'm in business, I'm quite happy for people to have my mobile number and my email address. Now, if you're not in business, you may not, but choose the communication medium for you. So in the teaser, think about the challenge. What is the biggest challenge you're dealing with right now, or for your clients, the problem you're solving for your ideal clients? What challenge did they have? And then create a statement or a question around that to drive that curiosity. And then tell people what you do in a nutshell, and how they can get in touch with you in those first sort of 200, 250 characters, because it will cut off after about 3 lines. Then after the see more, once you've hooked them in, then you want to talk about the problem a bit more. So what is that problem? Unpack it a bit more. What does it look like? What's the impact of the problem that you solve? And then you want to talk about who you work with, who are your ideal clients, what type of organization, what type of industry do you work in? How do you solve the problem? Now, this is where you'll create a list of your key services, your key products, your key packages, maybe you've got 3, if you're a speaker, 3 presentations you deliver, 3 workshops you deliver, those sorts of things. I'm saying 3, it could be 5, whatever it is. Now, feel free to look at my profile, because I do this on my profile. You'll see how I've done it. Now, LinkedIn has no formatting in this section here. So this is where you'd create a list. You want to make your profile scannable. So this is where you have to get creative and use things like emojis or symbols. Now, I use a fire emoji because my brand is wildfire. It kind of matches. So if there's an emoji that matches your brand, that's a great place to use them. Unless it's too cute, you want to keep it professional. Or symbols. And there are symbols that look like bulleted, little bullet points. What qualifies you is next. So this is where you now toot your own horn. What have you achieved? What are your qualifications? What experience have you had? What's the standout thing? Have you published a book? Has there some big awards you've won? What have you achieved for clients? Have you reduced their whatever by a percentage, or have you doubled their whatever? Have you by 10 times? Whatever it is, something quantifiable here that qualifies your expertise. Maybe the years of experience, but keep in mind, if you say you've got 10 years experience, and you're going to have to update this every year. So you might then reword it to say, since whatever year you've been doing this. That way you don't have to update it. So have a think about that. What qualifies you? Now, up until this point, your profile could sound very similar to a competitor, because they might have the same qualifications, they might have achieved the same things, they might offer the same services. So the next bit is your differentiator. Your why, your big vision. What is it you're trying to achieve? What difference are you trying to make? What's your purpose? What's your passion? And also, what do you do beyond this? What do you really love when you're not doing this, your main thing? What do you love here? And once again, like I said, feel free to look at my profile. This is where I mention the things I actually love. I mentioned I've been on a pool quest. I spent 12 months swimming in every Perth public pool, rating them, and produced Perth Pool Guide, which is something I'm, bit of a passion project. Nothing to do with my business, but it shows a bit of who I am, my character, my crazy commitment. Now I'm doing regional pool quests. So Graham, I'm heading your way at some point. I want to swim in the Albany pool and every pool on the way down to Albany.
The ocean's the best pool down here.
Yeah, but then there's the sharks.
We have a shark net, don't worry.
Oh, okay, that's all right then. Yeah, I don't mind the ocean if it's behaving. But yeah, so those sorts of things. How can you share your character and your personality, infuse it into your profile? And then finally, the what next? Invite action. What do you want people to do as a result of reading your profile? Now, for me, I want them to book a discovery call. And I've got a link to my Calendly booking link, which connects to my calendar, saves that backwards and forwards. What time are you free? No, I'm not free then. How about next week? So if they click on that, they can now, it's in their control in relation to my calendar. Now on desktop, it's not a clickable link, unfortunately, but on mobile it is. But people, can copy and paste. So it's, keep it simple. But just be clear what you want them to do as a result of this. How can they work with you? And this is how you can stand out from your ideal clients and, get them to connect with you through your values and your vision. And also your voice. Now, this section of your profile is best written in first person. LinkedIn recommend it, and any LinkedIn expert worth their, peanuts will recommend writing in first person, because when you write it about yourself, as in, if your profile says, Stephen is the number one, blah, 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 Stephen does this, Stephen does that, it sounds like you're not there. It's better to say, I, or when we do, but don't also use I too much, because if every paragraph starts with I, it's very self-focused. So just, write it and then just review it. Does it sound inclusive? Use, the language of we, and that's what, and talk about the problem rather than I do this, I do that. And this is why the having the what qualifies you, the tooting your own horn, down at 0.5, because a lot of people start with, when it's written in third person, they'll say, Joe is the leading LinkedIn expert in the world and blah, blah, blah. It's easier to talk yourself up in third person, but no one cares about you until you care about them, until they can work out how you fit into their world, which is why I talk, my methodology is to talk about the problem first. Now, the other place, so third B is voice. I've talked about voice in the about section, how you write your profile, but the other is your actual voice. And I'd love to know if anybody's used this feature. So on your profile, you can now record you speaking. Now, it's called the name pronunciation feature, and you have to do it on the mobile app, but you can listen to it on desktop. And what it does, it's designed to help people get your name right. So if you've got a name that's often mispronounced, mine, Joe, you can't get Joe wrong really, but Saunders, sometimes it might be Sanders. And as Janet says, it's a mini commercial. Now, it's called the name pronunciation feature, and you'll see on screen here on this is mobile, the black area here, you click on the little pencil, and then you go down and name pronunciation, click on it, and then record, and then work out who you'd like to hear this. And it can be a bit of a commercial, but you want to make, it's really a positioning statement, but you want to put your name into it because that's the design of it. So because my name, Joe Saunders, takes 2 seconds to say, you've got 10 seconds here, and feel free to listen to mine. So I say what I actually do, and then I introduce myself. So it's a very quick, warm introduction. Now, Harry Bosen's on this call. Harry's got a great one. I use it as example too. It's just very friendly and engaging. So if you look for a profile and they've got this little speaker icon next to their name, click on it and play and see what they've got. But if you just say your name, you're kind of missing an opportunity to connect. Say something fun. Say something that's not in your profile. Now, a colleague of mine, she's in the UK. She's a personal branding expert. Her name's Jennifer Holloway. She's got, hi, I'm Jennifer, never Jenny. That's it. And I love that because, it's not she's not doing it as a commercial, as Janet said here, but she's giving you direction about how she likes to be referred to. And she's telling you, don't shorten her name. She doesn't like it. Now, if you're the opposite, so Graham, I'll just use an example. You might say, hi, I'm Graham, but you can call me Halves. Now, people who might call you Halves are people that get to know you. So that might be too familiar too soon, but you can give people permission to call you something, a bit shorter. So if my profile was Joanne Saunders, because that's actually my name, I have no digital footprint as Joanne Saunders, though, because I don't exist. But if I wanted to be Joanne, I wanted to reclaim my name, I might say, hi, I'm Joanne, but you can call me Jo. Now, I don't, because I actually want to be Jo, because that's my name I want to go by. But, I could do it in reverse, say, hi, I'm Jo, but, when I'm in trouble, I'm called Joanne, or I don't know, whatever. But it's a way to show a bit of your personality. So going back to this lady, Jennifer, you get a sense of who she is. She's very particular about her name. It's something you want to get right. So, you can infuse this. Like I said, have a look listen to Harry Boson. So Harry, put your link in the chat again if you like, and then people can click and have a listen after. But look out for some examples. Now, I've got a lot of examples I share in my training, and if you want some other examples, let me know, and I can send you a list of people that do it really well. So with your LinkedIn profile, that's just 3 areas we've talked about. We've talked about the headline, we've talked about the about section and using this voice name pronunciation feature, but and the experience section. But you want to look at your whole profile and make sure it's optimized and well positioned so that you're branded, with your personal brand, but also you're being found. Now, I've got a profile blueprint that I'm happy to share with you. It's on my website, actually. If you go to wildfiresocialmarketing.com, you'll find the link there that you can download that. But that's only one part of it, your profile. There's, as I said, there's kind of 3 parts of LinkedIn. There's your network and there's the content. So if you want to have more visibility and credibility, you want to be, optimizing your profile, building your network of connections and sharing content, but also engaging with your network through commenting. And that helps your Connectfluence grow, we'll call it. Now, Connectfluence, as I said, it's the art of influence through connection to make an impact, really. And connection's not just about, it's not just about building relationships through your audience. It's about building conversations through content. Now, content is, and this is going back to how you're using LinkedIn. If you're someone who automates content, something you can schedule and outsource. But content is very much talking at your audience. But you want to frame it so you're talking with your audience. And have a look at what other people are doing. I'll mention Harry again, because I know Harry does this really well. Harry will often share posts on LinkedIn. It might be a photo with a person, or he'll be introducing someone to his network. And he'll be talking about how, or some event you've been to, Harry. I know you do that, sharing the insights and, how awesome this particular person is. So content doesn't have to be about you. It can be about other people. Now, here's some examples of things you can be doing on LinkedIn in terms of content. You could be publishing articles on LinkedIn, like republishing things from other sources, sharing your blogs with your insights and takeaways, summarize information that you've seen, which is the curating content, sharing your perspectives and insights on what's going on in your world and your client's world, commenting on trends. It could be education and information. I do a lot of that with what's new with LinkedIn. You want to insight some deep thinking. So throw some thought bombs, a deep question to get people engaged in a discussion about something that's going on, but obviously stay away from some topics, and we know there's topics, that don't never go well, like politics and religion and COVID, unless you're looking for engagement and you're quite happy to polarize people. So just be really careful with that stuff. Challenging processes, asking what if, seeking insight and feedbacks on certain things. So I do that a fair bit as well. Sharing achievements, there's a place for that. People love to celebrate wins. So if you've achieved a major milestone or an award in your industry, like Graham, I know you've got a lot of awards in the speaking industry, and when you get a certain award, it's good to have people celebrate with you, because it starts conversations, particularly with peers who've got your audience as well, because they'll celebrate with you. Challenging benchmarks in your industry, things that are the way they are because they are, and why should they be? So, have the courage to do that. Sharing case studies as well. So they're just some ideas for content. So it's not just talking out, you're encouraging people to talk with you. And then you've got engaging with other people's content, because that's networking. but it's if you can engage other people, you're bringing them to your profile, you're bringing exposure to your profile through the conversation. And if you look at the LinkedIn home feed, when you see people comment, you see their photo, their name, and their headline. So that's why your headline is super important when you're sharing content and engaging. Joining conversations, connecting and following with people, recommending colleagues, as in posts, or in threads of conversation. If someone's asking for help on something, recommend someone. Asking questions to further encourage conversation. Obviously, the question's got to be the right type of question. It can't be, well, I mean, it can be, but just be careful if you're challenging someone or looking like you're being a bit disruptive, unless that's your personality type. Expressing gratitude for people that have done things for you, or things you've experienced, sharing relevant news, takeaways, showing support, and responding to comments. That's really important. And viewing the profiles of people who've engaged, whether it's your content or someone else's, because if you view a profile, you're leaving a footprint behind. Maybe you might want to connect, or they may connect to you, and invite them to an experience as well. So if you're running a webinar like this one, or if you're running something where you're sharing something, or maybe you're attending something and you think the other person might appreciate being there, so invite them to something. So there's just a couple of ways that you could do that. Now, Connectfluence is, as I said, it's the name of my methodology that sits behind everything I teach. And really, it's what it is. It's my deep knowledge, intense curiosity, nosiness, and proven frameworks that work. So a collection of those things together, which gives you, the visibility through LinkedIn Network and Google, recognition for your expertise, and then influence, which gives you the results and impact that you're trying to make. So that's what Connectfluence is all about. Now, I have a program which happens to be called Connectfluence, and Connectfluence is the name of my book I'm working on at the moment as well. So it's really the word I'm focusing on. So the program that I've put together, and I've been working on this for years, and I've just had the courage to actually start telling people about it. I mean, I tell people in conversation, but I've actually thought it's time to actually put it out there. So it's a 6-month program, which sounds like a lot, but it's 6 months because that way it makes the work achievable. So you're not doing it in a short space of time, because you've all got a business to run. So in the first month, that's where the heavy focus in. There's a self-assessment, review, recommendation report about what you can be doing. And then we have a half-day strategy session, generally online, unless you're here in Perth and it's convenient and there's no COVID happening. Then there's the mentoring session to follow up, generally in the first month as well. There's masterclasses, online training resources throughout the program. And I've also factored in some group Q&A sessions, so you can come in and ask those burning questions, a bit like this sort of framework. Also some co-working, online virtual co-working. So, often we get very busy, and I find that when there's a space set aside to do the work, you can get it done. Plus there's support from peers and, asking input. That could be quite valuable too. And that sort of continues on through those first, the following months. And then at the very end, we do another strategy session, but more of a performance review. What's worked, what hasn't, what needs to adjust as you fly free and keep on going. And with the masterclasses that I'm factored into the program, there's very specific, the how-to topics. So, how to build your profile. I'll go into that in quite a lot of depth. Connections that count. So that's where we go through search, how to use Boolean search, how to use advanced search features, how to create your whole connection strategy. So the how-to topics are in the masterclasses and the online resources, and then that's the sort of not self-serve, but also you can attend live as well. And then there's the individual approach through the mentoring. Now, the masterclasses are also available for anybody to attend individually. Yeah, Graham, at last, I know. I've been taking the slow way to kind of, and I've been doing LinkedIn training for over a decade now, and I've been doing it for different programs, but I've sort of brought everything together in this program. So some of the people I've worked with in different aspects, some of you might know Ian Stevens, and I love this. These are from my LinkedIn profile recommendations, and I love this testimonial from him because it's very tangible. 14 days, extra 16 grand, 92% return on investment in 2 weeks. So for him, it was very much, he started doing some things on LinkedIn, started getting results. It works. Alistair is a professional speaker and tech expert in the UK. He's sort of got an encyclopedic, if I even say the word, encyclopedic understanding of how to use LinkedIn and build lasting relationships. Yeah. But you'll get a sense from this that, it's about results, but it's also about, I'm very down to earth and approachable, and it has to be fun. It has to be fun in what we do, because otherwise it's just, it becomes a chore. And you want to make LinkedIn fun, because LinkedIn doesn't have to be boring and that sort of thing. So the program, just to reiterate, it's a 6-month program. This is some of the things we go through. As I said, there's eight mentoring sessions, which is scheduled throughout the program. So you're not having to meet with me every week. It's not like a heavy program. It's just when you need it, and all these bits and pieces are there. And the pricing is 3,600 plus GST. That's if you want to pay upfront and take advantage of that pricing, or there's a payment plan as well. So that's my launch price. And I've been told off that it's too cheap, but I want to get it out there and help as many people as I can. I also have a sort of a light version. It's like a mini mentoring program, which goes over 6 weeks, which is some of these things. So it's the self-assessment, the recommendation report, strategy session, and 2 follow-up mentoring sessions with a few resources. And that's just to help people that just want a quick start, or just need that bit of extra help or a bit of guidance on their strategy.
So how future-proofed is your brand right now? And what are you going to do as a result of watching this webinar? Let me know how you go, and book a discovery call if I can help you further.